Stephen Gray Harris, the jeweller in Clifton, he has a good Victorian display. He has lion masks, but 4 years ago those lions couldn't overcome a smash and grab. Motorcyclists went and broke his front window and took the jewellery. He said it was £1 million. We don't think it was, but he wanted lions put back in the window, and he had 4 lights with masks on, and these were the masks that went in the window. Alas, they're not there anymore. This is for Sandra. She is a keen supporter of Victoria arts, and of course she loves parrots. She has an African grey, so I made that. And this is for a person who is in the ecclesiastical insurance. So all the churches that have their lead nicked off the roof, he does the insurance. So I made different churches, and this is much earlier, about 2001, exploring the way porcelain can be used in different ways. On the left there, the use of lino. Grandfather printed on paper, but you can do the same on porcelain with the different varieties. But these other works, they're more random, they're more ceramic marks, and these are with paint drops or slip drops on a plaster bat. These are now lino cuts, the different impressions from making a lino, whereas the lamp in the middle, they're auto marks, where paper has been covered with porcelain and that burns out in the background. Oh, and sorry, background is the tokens, and these were made for Bath, Victoria Art Gallery, and tokens were thrown into Roman baths as gifts to the gods. But how fun we should have Roman and then Christianity at the same time. And on the right hand side, oh, this is unlit though, I'm afraid. These were made with newspaper, just balled up and coated with glass fibre and porcelain and fired to 1260, and that's the form they make under the phrase auto marks. And then for last year, during the Froome Festival, these smaller shades on the side, just to cheer the place up, make it a bit lighter. Well, rather than doing illustration or auto marks, just by laminating different layers together, you can get a watermark effect. So the outer layer has a disc cut in the centre and built up, and then more layers added. Or one can use it as a fabric, and as a large dish, this was gathered in the middle, rather like a flower head, and pulled to form these shapes. Then, with the illustration, trying to combine surface texture with actual form, So you get an embossing and the person appearing as if looking through a window. In front of us, Frome College had life drawing, and that was a marvel. 1995-96, a chance to work out light and dark. This was early days, wanting to make the porcelain live more rather than just be a texture. Auto marks were fine, but limited. Wanted the human touch, the human element. But the question was, what shape do they take? And by trial and error, using different forms and techniques, it came down to panels which are backlit. And there's different ways of using the illustration. It could be a stained glass effect, or it could be layered. Or cardboard built in layers. Oh, on the left-hand side, we have Bath Street, and that's only a year old. It's convex, which gives it a slight amount of movement. And it's interesting how you can place imagery and then backlight it. With the middle one, that also is an image backlit, but it's auto marks. It's burnt out newspaper again. And on the one on the right-hand side, that's formed over a large balloon with glass fibre and a laminate of different forms. Butterflies this time. For the bathroom, this was going to be a different construction method. Instead of the heavier frame of previous ones, we used wire for this and wrapped around cardboard. And we'd see the marks from a corrugated cardboard in the glaze. And there has a slight green glaze to it. "21 years ago, in 2001, still with these crustacean forms, Bonhams in Knightsbridge actually sold one, which was a surprise. Again, this was automatic forms from rolled newspaper, scrunched newspaper, covered with glass fibre and porcelain, and fired. And with a bulb, they illuminate. With the naked light bulb, the thought was the porcelain being translucent would be good to cover it. Days of yore, where the candle and the candle fittings, with the porcelain, the sleeves can cover it. And there's flames at the top to try and emulate a little flicker. One of the small businesses here in Frome on Stony Street was called Stardust. That goes back a few years, but alas, they closed down. And they let me have the chandelier. I did these light fittings for them, and two of them have their emblems still on them. And on top, I wanted to have a bit of flame to indicate that they're alive, that they're doing something. Like, lucky old me being able to have the two together still. This was my father, Paul Payne, at school at Repton, and in 1939. He had just 1 year before being joined up. So if I point to his jacket from 1939, and he was very proud of the Repton emblem. And if I turn the page over, this is myself in 1982 at school. But if I look across, we can see. Oh yes, that's where I was. And then across here, he had his coat of arms made. They were blacksmiths for 6 or 7 generations in Petworth in Sussex, and he used bluebirds as part of his imagery. During the war years, from 39 until about 57, he was based up in Edinburgh Castle, and the 3 lions came from Edinburgh Castle, slightly tongue-in-cheek, as it was the Scottish regiment he was in. But he didn't do the arts, unlike his father Wyndham, but I've had that chance, and I'm pleased that I'm able to put my work in front of his.